You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that.
It's time to talk about it.
Pull up a chair and take a seat.
We're serving up recipes for life.
With Hampton University's Dr. Richard Mason and Dr. Tamara Williams.
Welcome to the Sunday Brunch.
This is Dr. Tamara Williams.
And this is Dr. Richard Mason, and welcome to another edition of Sunday Brunch.
Oh, my word. I am just so excited about the spread that we have on the table today. It looks great.
Once again,
I think the conversation is going to be amazing. I'm always excited to sit at the table with you. We always have good things to talk about that's going to impact our community.
Exactly. And you know, sitting at the table ready to eat it just feels like home to me always, you know?
I know that's right.
I'm trying to work on my inner fat boy. So listen, that's something that we can probably talk a little bit about today as well. So, but anyway, I am so excited to be here once again. As always, you know, the table is always full. We have a great spread once again. And how have you been, just overall? From last week, it's been a week.
You know, we lost summer now.
Yes.
So all of us are back in school, back at our full-time positions and work, and back at our structured life, you know, for those who have had those summer breaks, because some people work all throughout the year. They don't get those breaks. But now the kids are back, and we have rules and regulations. And so you asked me how I've been. Let me just tell you, I just been. Does that count?
Hey.
Does that count?
It's just a state of being. Yes,
What?
you've just been.
I've been, but I'm thankful to have been.
Exactly. You know, the old folks, you say, how you doing? I'm doing.
Does that count?
You're right.
Yes.
You never knew what that meant, but you know that they were doing. All right?
Keep doing, keep going, keep doing. And so I'm definitely glad the school is back. And it's always like a great time. I think about education. I'm always excited about education. You know, at this table, we're always excited about education.
Yes.
Like life learners, we never stop learning, and that you can always pick up new things, learn new things, appreciate new things, and you can find it in books and other ways. But I'm excited today about who we have at the table today.
Yes. She's been at the table before, so I'm excited. Excited. So
I like to refer to her as like our resident doctor, even though we're doctors, you know. She's more of that medical side who's going to, you know, give us some tips, some cares, and some things that people need to know about. I'm more of that whole thing with that body in motion stays in motion, body at rest stays at rest. And so with learning, we need to stay in motion and not wait to the end of the year when we have these New Year resolutions, but to start working on those things now. You know, when we know better, we do better.
Exactly.
And so part of learning is like, don't wait to get it now. So I'm excited to introduce to you that our Dr. Nurse Extraordinaire, Dr. Jemicia Braxton, welcome to Sunday Brunch again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
yes, welcome.
You are always welcome at the table.
Thank you. I love being here with both of you.
Good. Share a little bit about yourself with our listening audience. I'm going to fix my plate though, but go ahead and share it with everybody. Just for those who didn't, haven't heard you before on the show with us.
Just bring me a roll back.
I got you. All right.
Y'all be good. We talking about physical and mental and health and all this in here. Y'all talking about rolls and chicken.
Listen. We told you we like to eat. I say balance that thing out.
Well, I am Dr. Jemicia. I am a full-time nurse practitioner, and I'm also an associate professor online. And I'm also an intermittent fasting and a mindset coach. And I focus on intermittent fasting, obesity in African American women. And I also, of course, work with geriatric patients in primary care.
Okay.
So that is what I do, but my love and my focus is intermittent fasting and mindset.
And mindset is good because, when you start talking about intermittent fasting and just how you eat, that gets into life altering and life changing decisions, and it's not necessarily a diet per se, but you really have to look at how it is you're choosing to live.
It's discipline.
Right. It's life choices.
Definitely life choices. And like you said, it's not a diet. It is definitely a lifestyle. And it's just a time-conscious way of eating. And if we do it right, we really can do a lot of healing and a lot of self-care. And not only is it self-care and like I said, I focus on women. So for women going through hormonal issues or having any type of weight problems, it really is the magic bullet. It really is. Because it helps you physically as well as mentally. And you can really heal your body with intermittent fasting.
Well, now that you brought up the topic of intermittent fasting, not that we haven't said a little bit about it before, but you got to tell the people who may not know what that is.
Okay.
What that means.
Sure. It really is very simple. It is a time-conscious way of eating. So mainly, the main thing people do out there is something called 16-8, which means you're fasting, no food for 16 hours, and then you're feeding for 8 hours of the day. So that's really what that is. It's time conscious. And there's so many different plans. You can do something called a 5 and 2, which means 5 days a week you're fasting. And then 5 days a week you're not fasting, and 2 days a week you're fasting. You can do alternate day fasting, which is every other day you're fasting. You can do something called OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, which is what I do. I practice 1 meal a day, which you know. And so,
And she looking at my plate, y'all. I feel like she judging me.
I'm a little judgy, just a little judgy, a tiny bit judgy. But
that one plate a day, she can put that one plate down now. She makes that one plate count. So it's definitely not a diet. I'm definitely
How big of a plate it is.
It's a serious plate. You understand, a community plate.
A smorgasbord.
most certainly,
She makes the most of her time. Yeah.
And as you know, I do pretty much stick to that.
Okay.
I do stick to that. And I found that I'm not on any medicines. I don't take any medicines. I'm 53 years old. I don't have any chronic diseases or anything like that. And I've helped people to cure their diabetes through the plan and lose weight and look fabulous over 50. Or 40, whichever you like.
Or 30 or 20.
Or 30 or 20, whatever you need.
Now, I'm curious. This one meal.
Look at him. Y'all, he's holding his head. He's nervous.
Curious, but like,
not that I'm curious that I'm going to try it. I'm just curious to what's on the plate.
We pretty much do that almost anyway. Like a lot of us are so busy in life that, you're in charge of things that sometimes that's what I eat anyway, without even really thinking or considering. Some people are fasting, but to be more purposeful about it would be great.
Right. That's the part. The intention, because Dr. Williams did say something about being busy and rushing and all of those things. And when that happens, your cortisol levels are rising and things like that are happening. Your insulin is responding to that. And so the intermittent fasting portion of it may not work the same. So that's why it's intentional, and you have to be in it and mindful of it and relaxed in it. It should not be a rushing here and rushing there, right? Because your body responds. The body knows.
It knows I'm hungry.
Now I will say, I do I do the fasting piece, and I eat between 12 and 8. Okay, and I don't eat anything after 8 o'clock, and I don't eat anything before 12 noon. Sometimes I'll do 11 to 7. It just depends on what my schedule is. But I could not imagine, and I know the therapist in me always says, never say never, you know, but I can't never see myself just eating 1 meal a day.
Well, Dr. Mason, could you imagine, like now, going back to school, the kids are going back to school, you're going back to work, the schedule's kind of, messed up and whatnot. Could you imagine not having to cook breakfast and not having to prepare that lunch and not having to worry about that because you are fasting and you are doing 1 meal a day? How much stress that is off of you and your family, or you in general. So that's a way to think. Look at his face.
She is definitely a mindset person.
Look at his face.
But his face is telling you
he's rebuking me in the name of Jesus right now.
That
But listen, let me just say, you have to be mentally ready. But if you think about the benefits of it for everybody, and I'm not trying to go back way in the day, but if you really think about how we were as a people, we really are a fasting people if you think about it. Because way back in the day, not us, but ancestrally.
They worked the fields, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
They worked all those hours on the field without being able to eat. So they were working and fasting at that time.
And you didn't see obesity. You didn't see chronic illness. You didn't see any of those things. And how many of them went to the
stress, though, Lord
Of course they had stress.
Some cortisol
they had
problems
stress.
going on
Of course, yes, they had some stress. But what I'm saying, look, he's hilarious. But I'm saying to just never say never, like you said.
Right.
And it's about mindset.
Right. And that part might
this
work
is
for and to the listeners, I jest, but it may work for folks, and you really have to find the piece that works for you. And that's why I like that you offered different modifications of the fasting component. You know, and so you just have to find what fits with your mindset, and then also what fits with your body.
And your body type, right?
Yeah, there are a certain group of people who shouldn't be doing this, but
me. I say that I'm not. No. Do tell us who is not a candidate. Like, who would not be a safe candidate? I'm assuming.
Sure. A woman who's pregnant.
Okay.
A woman who's lactating. A child who's still developing, because we want a healthy amount of growth hormone. Someone who has mental health disorder, as far as the eating, body dysmorphia type of illness, bulimia, anorexia, right? Not a healthy relationship with food. Those types and kinds of people. Adrenal issues.
A man who's hungry.
A man who's hungry and has chicken and rolls and and I cannot even say certain medications, because you really can you can heal your body with it. You really can heal it with
that in itself is worth it for so many people who are struggling. Maybe they're taking a lot of different types of medications that have side effects that maybe if they're able to eliminate some of their issues, it would definitely be helpful.
And I will say, for me, since doing the fasting, I will say my energy level, is certainly different. It's up, and I feel better, and I don't wake up hungry.
Really?
That part.
I don't wake up hungry. Now, what I notice is if I eat later, let's say, because I try to make sure I do eat. All right, because the last thing I want to do is to wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking, oh God, I'm hungry and I can't fall back to sleep.
Oh, because I will eat in the middle of the night.
Yeah, see, and I've been there. I've been there, and my feet would just get up, hit the floor, and just take the rest of my body right on downstairs to the refrigerator. So I try to make sure. So if I eat a little past 8, let's say I eat at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I notice sometimes then I may wake up
you're
hungry.
not going to sleep well.
Right. I may wake up hungry in the morning, and that's just because my body is not used to eating after 8 at that point. And I think at 8, my body has gotten used to now it's processing everything overnight and all or whatever. And so in the morning, I wake up, I'm refreshed, I'm ready to go. I drink my cup of coffee and I keep it moving.
So, Dr. Mason, really what's happening is when you eat that late, you have to metabolize that. And your body is working really hard while you're sleeping. So you're going to wake up as if you just ran a marathon and you're starving. So that's what's happening.
So my body is running when I'm sleeping?
It's running.
So maybe I need to eat a little bit more.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Keep them running.
Let me keep my body running.
Right. And so if we want to roll that into wellness for families who are starting school or wanting to keep their bodies in motion or whatever. And I know we're talking about intermittent fasting, which does not require working out. It does not require exercise. But to get the full benefit.
Say that one more time, because I think that might get some people more interested in the fact of you know what, I don't have to, what?
It does not require exercise. It does not require movement. if you're on a journey to lose weight. Me personally, I am at my goal. I don't need to lose weight, but I don't want to gain either. So anyway, like I said, exercise is not required, but for the mental portion and the body composition for stuff to lay right, you do want to exercise and you do want to move. And with intermittent fasting, the good thing is the fat comes off and the muscle is still preserved. So you don't have to worry too much about that, right? The muscle wasting. But when I say exercise, the portion about that's amazing is it helps with their mental health, right? And when you're stressed out with routines, getting the babies up, getting them ready to go, they're fighting you over here trying to get ready for work, and you got all these tasks to complete. If you're not doing something for your mental health, and we're not talking about popping pills, but if you're not doing something for you and your self-care as far as mental health, then you're going to be frazzled. And so that's where the exercise piece comes in.
So not required, but you still recommend it because you feel like it's
certainly
for your wholeness, for your wellness.
Certainly recommend it. However, if you want to be on an intermittent fasting journey to lose weight, if you have a lot of weight to lose, then we can start with that intermittent fasting piece to drop that weight and then get the movement in afterwards.
So with people fasting during a certain period of time, is there certain things that they should not eat when they can eat, or is it just how much you eat? Because I'm thinking that you could still overdo it just because you're just doing it one time a day or twice a day.
Absolutely. And that depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to lose weight, when you do eat, you don't want to start or break your fast with, I don't know how we got deep into this, girl, but
you said it with your love. It is. We like to talk about what they love to talk about.
And this is easy to talk about for me because I do it all day, every day. But when you are breaking your fast, you don't want to break it with a carbohydrate and a fat, because when you begin to eat, all that is going to be stored, and you don't want the fat to be stored as well as the carbohydrate.
No bacon and no toast.
No.
You don't want to break
not together.
Not together.
But you can break fat with a protein. You can break your fast. I particularly like bone broth to break a fast if you're going to, or something like.
Did she say bone broth?
I said
That's
bone
what
broth.
she said.
Because
Did you see my face? Did you see my face?
You dare meet me at the end of a fast with a cup of broth.
You said bacon. How did you get from bacon to bone broth?
Wrong
Y'all
beat,
crazy. Y'all crazy. But okay. So yes, you can break it with you can listen.
The whole plate, not just the broth.
You can break it because my girl over here likes bacon, but you can break it with
amen and amen.
And amen. And you can break it with a protein, a meat, a fat, like that, but not a fat and a carbohydrate together, because you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
That's number
so
one.
Not a bacon sandwich, but you can just eat some bacon.
Thank you. Exactly.
Okay.
Because, and I'm going to tell you why. There's science behind it. The reason why is because it slowly raises your insulin level, not quickly. When you add that bread and that carbohydrate, your insulin spikes all the way up. And all of the fasting benefits are gone when you do it like that. You're kind of sabotaging yourself. So you don't see as much of the benefit.
So you start with the broth.
If I do a long fast now, I'm at my goal weight. But if I do a 72-hour fast, which you have known me to do, and I'll break it with bone broth. I will. And then I'll ease into my next meal, which is normally with you in the evening. So, we'll do something like that.
But you did say bacon is good.
Bacon is fine.
Did you hear that?
Bacon is fine. Any type of protein. I don't particularly eat it.
You stop. See, put a period. See, sometimes people put a comma when they should period. You said bacon is good. Period. That's it. All right. That's where we're gonna stop.
Dr. Mason, I didn't. Dr. Mason, I didn't necessarily say it was good. I said it's not. I would not be upset if you had it.
Okay.
Especially if you're I don't. Especially if you're a keto type of diet type of person. When I say keto, I mean, no carbohydrates. It's just whole foods. You're just eating whole foods, and you're not really eating any carbohydrates or any sugars.
Well, what I heard is bacon is good. All right.
Did you see where he is stuck?
Yeah, he is stuck.
Fixated there. And listen, not that I want to move him past that point, because he definitely is one of my favorite foods as well. And
I do.
I get excited about what.
Bacon is holy.
What?
I just want to, for the listening public, bacon is holy. Okay,
We're gonna need to get a sponsorship from bacon.
Let me tell you now. Okay, you just think about this now. Okay, you look at life like a breakfast platter. Okay, the chicken contributes the eggs. But the pig has to sacrifice. What does the Lord want? A sacrifice, right? That pig has to sacrifice to get that bacon. Huh? It's holy. I didn't make this up. It's in the Bible.
You
it's in the
made
Word.
this up.
It's in the Word. It's in the Word.
This man.
Listen, we
Listen,
need the chef to go ahead and put an order of bacon in
This
for you.
is Sunday brunch. Pay attention
It
in
is
church,
Sunday brunch.
people. Pay
Church.
attention in
Sacrifice.
church. The
The
Lord
pig.
wants a sacrifice. He just don't want you to contribute. He wants a sacrifice.
Okay.
And the pig is holy.
Okay.
Jesus be a whole fence around me right now.
That's why turkey bacon is not good. The Lord didn't call no turkey to be bacon. All right?
I concur with the part that is not good to me. But I don't know what the Lord called.
Listen, I'm going to tell you. Somebody pastor going to preach on that next Sunday. Watch. Just call me.
Dr. Braxton.
Yes. And I'm sorry.
What we wanted to do too is I'm glad that we're having a great time about our bacon, right?
Yes.
Our bacon challenge and our fasting. But what are some things too that parents can do as we're moving into this new school year? We're preparing. Like, I like that we stopped and had this conversation because we said about not setting those type of New Year goals and resolutions, but starting to do this work now, so people don't have to worry about losing weight in the new year if they start their intermittent fasting goals now and start working on the process now.
Yeah.
But what are some things that parents can do with kids, because you said like kids are developing, and so they would not be a good candidate? Or what are some other options, with some of our kids who are maybe struggling out here with some of their weight issues or concerns?
Right. And so that is a caveat, right? There's always an outlier. There's always, an anomaly that will happen. So a kid is a kid based on age as well as weight. So if they fall into a category that is overweight, where they're developing type 2 diabetes, where they're having a cycle when they should not, meaning females, and those hormones are expressing, then I would say to a parent that we might want to exercise intermittent fasting 3 days a week with something like a schedule of 16 and 8 or something loose like that.
And that 16-8 again is your
that's
fasting
16 hours of fasting. So it looks like this.
While you're asleep too, that counts.
Yes, while you're asleep too.
It better.
So it looks like this. So the child would not have anything to eat until maybe 10 in the morning, or snack at school or whatever, or something like that. If we did the 3 days a week, of course the parent would probably do that over the weekend and one day during the week, where they start eating at 10 and they stop eating at 6. Right? So they don't eat anything past 6 o'clock. No snacking in between. Something
Water
like that.
consumption is
fine.
Okay.
If there's anything with no calories, I don't necessarily like those artificial sweeteners, because the body kind of looks at it as something sweet, and then then you start craving. You crave sweet things. So for a child who has weight to lose like that, it's okay to do maybe 3 days a week. Of intermittent
so a
fasting.
child that may be like classified as being obese from their pediatrician, well overweight for their age, maybe a male who could be developing like breast or something, like he's significantly overweight, he could benefit from that.
Yes, because the fat is shooting out hormones that he normally would not have, because there's estrogen within fat, right? So exercise also. Routine where the family after dinner does not sit on the couch and watch TV. They get up and they take a walk around the neighborhood. How about that? Or the family
That's
does
good family
something.
time.
Yes, or the family does something that involves some type of running around or some type of play. Something where the child is not sitting down, sedentary, watching television, on a game. They need to be interacting with their feet, moving.
I just feel like people just turn the stage and click. No, I'm just.
Look, you want to be better, you got to do better.
But that's true, and I joke, but you're right though. That truly is correct. You definitely have to keep moving. You have to do things. You know, when you eat, and your body, you know, if you sit still, you're going to go right to sleep just because your body is working. And I do realize it's burning, you know, that energy because you're feeding it, and so you also need to make sure that body in motion,
stays in motion.
Exactly. Yeah. I get it.
And I know it's hard to hear, right? It's hard to hear. It's hard to think about parting from our food and our carbs and our cakes and cookies and all of that. But
you
honestly,
had mentioned parting from those things. You didn't mention that in the fasting.
well, I said carbohydrates, which all falls in that category.
No, but like the entire time you're fasting?
Well, when you're fasting, you're not eating anything.
That part, but when you can't eat, are you able to eat those things?
You can eat those things. They're not the first thing you want to eat, and you definitely want to limit it. Remember, I said
broth. Bone broth.
That's how
y'all listen, y'all. They're trying to joke me.
No,
but I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm telling y'all what I know. Y'all should see me up in here.
I'm telling you, it works. I've seen it. We're having a good time joking about it. But part of the conversations that we have at Sunday Brunch are the conversations that people need to have at their family tables. And whenever we get together as African Americans, it's always surrounding food. Whether it's happy, sad, confused situation, whatever the situation is, a meeting, whatever, we get mad when food is not there.
Don't we though?
To be present in the room.
Yes.
And so it's in a lot of ways we're out of control with that.
We are out of control.
And it controls
We're supersized to death.
us.
We're microwaved to death.
Listen.
We are out of control.
And I do know what hangry looks like. And I know what it feels like too. So, you know, we do need to exercise a modicum of control over those type of things that we do have in control. And a lot of our eating is out of control. So we laugh and we joke, but this is a very serious conversation because people are checking out and they're not getting the services they need. They're not getting the help they need. And this is something that they could do in the midst of still not getting the help and the services that they need to go and get.
And let's be real about it. 64% African American women are obese and may possibly have diabetes. And diabetes is the worst chronic illness to have. We're checking out of here. Black women.
Stress alone will take you out.
I don't think people realize the effects that diabetes really has on the body. You know, when you're talking about having to have fingers and toes amputated because it affects the circulation and everything, you know.
Everything.
Eyesight.
Eyesight, everything. Heart, everything. And here's the thing that you want to think about. People sacrifice those things for food. They don't want to change. And they're addicted. We're addicted. We're all addicted.
Addicted to food.
To food, to sugar,
addiction.
to all of that. And once we get our mindset right, once we become disciplined, self-disciplined, because discipline is freedom. Right?
Yeah.
Once we become disciplined around our food, we're good. We got it.
You can't control us.
Can't control us.
Because I am controlled by my stomach. You understand me?
I do understand
I don't speak to certain people because I don't like the way their food looks sometimes. I'm like, you don't cook that right. You got cats and dogs around jumping on cats. You know, we have limits based on food. Like, I don't know how you put that on your food. I don't know about that.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
We are serious about
Dr.
food.
Williams is petty.
Queen Petty, sir. Call me by my real title. Queen Petty. Queen Petty. Well, especially when it comes to my body and the things that I consume, things that touch my body, whether it's soaps, it doesn't, anything that goes in. I'm very serious about that.
But you have to think about it. And I will say, one of the things, since my wife and I, since we started doing the intermittent fasting and everything, we've paid attention to certain things in terms of dairy products and stuff like that or whatever.
How it makes your body feel, right?
Yeah. And so finding out so many different things, the program that we're doing, we found out so many different things that we didn't know. For example, tomatoes causes inflammation. Had no clue.
I did not know that. I had a tomato on my grilled cheese sandwich today.
Yes, causes inflammation. Cheese causes bloating. I mean, when you cut back on the dairy and everything or whatever, less bloating, and I mean, you can totally tell the difference,
right?
You know, and I'm a cheese head. I love cheese, and so I know that's a part of my problem.
Cheese too.
So I need to cut back on that again. You know,
Moderation. Moderation.
Cut all of that back out again, because I did feel a huge difference when I cut that cheese out. And then onions, just general onions, how they, I guess, turn into sugars, I think is what it was, you know, in the system or whatever. And it's like when you hear about certain foods, it's like you don't think about those things.
I
And so,
never would have thought that about onions.
yeah. And there were several other things, but we're finding that there are gluten-free options that we can have, and then there are dairy-free options, especially like salad dressings and things like that or whatever. It's a whole line of stuff that we have been able to utilize, still have the same types of meals and things of that nature, but used with, cooked with different types of ingredients. Like I said, for example, a salad, whereas you're thinking that you're eating healthy, eating a salad, but then you pile on the blue cheese dressing,
In the croutons.
Yeah, well,
And the cheese.
yeah,
And the
exactly.
cheese.
So you do
But I
have
love the
certain
olives,
things.
though.
And the bacon. No, the olives are
I would
amazing.
say-
Why did she
Because
go
I
back
love
to the
olives.
bacon? Why did she go back to the bacon?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Don't
Don't
It
do it.
belongs
Don't
on salad. But yeah, we love olives, so
Yeah, no, olives are amazing. Any type of fermented food is amazing. Olives are good because it's a good fat, the omega-3s. It keeps you satiated, and they're amazing. Now, you don't want too much sodium, of course, but it's just it's a different type. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been an eye-opening experience. Just like I said, doing those things and modifying your eating. Like I said, you can still eat those things, and just being in a group that we're in, the recipes and stuff like that. And then also for us, that's worked well has been the meal prep. Because my wife does an excellent
Preparation.
job with meal prep, because then it's easy. If I don't have meetings and things of that nature, it's easy to just grab out of the refrigerator and go. So I don't have to worry about what am I going to eat. It's already prepared, and I know that it's healthy. It's within my lifestyle change that I'm supposed to be eating certain things or whatever, versus going somewhere else.
Right. So in my program, my 28-day Jumpstart program, we do all of the things you just said. We do not allow gluten. We don't allow dairy. We don't allow alcohol. We don't allow sugar for the first 28 days.
You done went from the bacon to the alcohol.
For the first 28 days. For the first 28 days, because you have to get that detox. You have to get the body, clear of that. No caffeine either.
say what?
Now, well, wait a minute. Hold on.
Help me, Jesus.
That's the one thing we do modify, because on small levels, caffeine is good. Okay. It's good, and it
Trust
helps
me,
you
it's
with
good for me to have my cup of coffee.
No, it's good for
Right.
others for me to have my cup of coffee.
Okay.
That part more importantly.
So yes, so you find after that your body is you just feel amazing, and the weight that you can just drop and keep off if you just say, okay,
And
I
real
am
talk
going
with-
to
yeah.
real talk. I am going to eat my first meal at 10 o'clock. I'm going to eat my first meal at 12 o'clock. And what that does, for those of you out here listening, some science again behind it. The insulin does not spike. So when your insulin doesn't spike, your body is using your own fat that you want to get rid of as a meal. And so it begins to shed. And that's where the magic happens.
And it works. I lost 120 pounds that way. Real
See.
talk. Like, just
Yeah.
not really having to work out as much. Still doing some working
Yeah.
out, but it really was
Yeah.
about what you're putting in your body and how often you're eating. And doing that, not eating so late at night when most people are struggling.
And for women going through perimenopause, menopause, the mental clarity that comes, the energy that comes. Listen, you moms out there who are doing all this stuff. I mean, you're going to PTA meetings, you're working, you're picking kids up, taking them to band, taking them to practice. You need energy. You need energy. And when you put food in, your body is working on that. So the energy goes towards breaking that down. Right? Whereas if you have nothing in you, your body uses your fat for energy. And you feel that surge of energy. So there's so many benefits.
But I would definitely suggest they meet with someone like you who's experienced in that regard to kind of work on those things, because I could see how some people would end up with the eating disorder from not doing it correctly, because that's what they're doing. They're starving themselves. But you got to make sure that you're getting your nutrients, and you
Your
got to make sure
macros
that meal is happening, and that you're being very strategic about what you're eating. And I'm thinking for some of those plans you said, some people are not just eating one time. They may be eating 3 times within that time frame.
Yeah. You're having your meals, your regular meals within that time frame. And that's again, it's about your hormones expressing, and it's about timing.
And portion control.
And portion control.
That's the other piece in terms of monitoring that portion. And that's what's good about doing the meal prep, so that we look at, I think, 4 to 6 ounces of meat and then 2 cups of vegetables. That's kind of how we monitor, in terms of what we eat during that time period.
Yeah, and the stress of figuring out what you're going to eat is already taken care of because you've prepped it. You've planned for it.
Yes.
Because we know what gets planned gets done, right?
That's true.
So we've planned for a good meal.
And whether you like it or not, just eat it. is that kind of where you are?
Right.
Because, I'm one of those people like, I don't feel like that today.
I'm going to go get something else.
That lobster is calling me. With the butter sauce, please.
Full of cholesterol, I might add. Anyway.
My bad, but it speaks to me. It speaks to me.
It takes a medical professional just to destroy a good sounding meal.
Goodness,
that's
y'all.
the reason why we say
Why y'all invite me?
doctors. Because what people need to realize when you're sitting at the table, people are good at some things. That doesn't mean they're good at everything. And we expect that from people. When you say you're doctor this or doctor that, you think they don't know everything. So we know what we know. We know mental health.
Right.
We know counseling. We know those aspects. But that doesn't mean we know everything about the body.
Right.
Physical body that would be helpful for other people. And so that's why we have you here as an expert to share that with people and to say things that some people have never heard before, because in our community this is not something that we tend to really preach. Is not anything that we tend to promote, and we probably should, because we could save a lot medical wise and people wise. We could have our families for longer periods of time
lot longer
if we started having more of these conversations and make it seem as it is an option versus when I was growing up, it was like, you don't leave the table till you eat your food.
All of
till
it.
you clean your plate.
Right.
Whatever I cook, you eat. But now being more mindful of, just because it's there doesn't mean that I have to eat
That's
it.
right.
I got options.
You have options.
I have more control over what goes in my body.
Well, the other thing too is, when you're talking about people who are emotional eaters and
Feed all their feelings.
Exactly. And that's the piece, with comfort foods, and your body would love to have that macaroni and cheese.
That is my comfort food. Get out my head.
All right, exactly.
Go sit down somewhere.
And so look,
That's my go-to right there.
I love that you said that though, Dr. Mason, because that's what gives you that dopamine rush.
Just thinking about it right now, I'm on a high.
Right. So that's why we go to food, because it gives us that instant gratification. But if you exercise, you get the exact same rush.
Mentally, I can't feel that. I'm not.
If a dog is chasing me, I'm still ain't running. You understand?
I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
We gonna stop and talk about it.
I don't get the same feeling from working out that I get from eating food.
It depends on what type of workout it is.
He said, Lord have mercy.
I work out because I need to, not because it makes me feel good like food. But emotionally, I get it. Trust and believe, I do get it when it comes to that. Yes, but people eat when they're depressed.
They do.
And
they eat for everything.
Exactly.
Every feeling.
Anxiety.
When you're celebrating stuff, when they're happy about stuff.
Right. And it's about mind over matter when it comes to, because
discipline.
When
Self-discipline.
The first few weeks, and I don't say few weeks, probably the first few days, when we started our fasting program a few months back, eating late at night, because I'm usually up working on stuff, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, where's that bag of Cheetos? And sometimes it's just, that
hand to mouth,
and then also the crunch. So what I found myself doing, I would drink water, but I would crunch on ice. You know, now my dentist would have a problem. You know, you fix
A
one
clear
problem,
problem
and,
with
you know,
that.
fix one problem and create another. But I would just sit and chew, you know, crushed ice. And I think for me mentally, that was putting something in my mind that I'm actually eating something. I'm chewing, you know.
For me, it was gum.
Mine
Yeah.
is gum too. Yeah, mine is sugar-free gum. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. You know, we do have, you know, gum as well.
That's not
Y'all
your
should,
thing, though.
y'all should see his face. He's like, I want some Cheetos and some bacon.
Exactly.
Wrapped in bacon.
Yes,
But people
yes.
should be more honest about what
Cheetos
they-
wrapped
what they
in bacon.
need.
That might be a recipe.
Hello, somebody. People got to be more honest about
Right.
what they need and their own concerns and
Yeah.
communicate those things because we all don't need the same things or
Right.
don't feel the same way about the same things. So, you know, for you, if it's that crunch, you need to hear that crunch.
Right.
You know, you chewing on gum wouldn't do it for you.
Right.
You know, but for somebody else, if it's the chewing motion, chewing on gum,
Right.
you know, does that. But
And that made a big difference.
Yeah.
I will say. So I would say probably for the first 3-4 nights, maybe I found myself really chewing ice, and that helped in terms of that whole mind over matter. And I really had to tell myself, stay upstairs, stay upstairs. You're not going downstairs. You're not going downstairs. Because if I go downstairs, I was just going to make my way to that
Oh, to the
refrigerator.
kitchen. Absolutely. Just avoid it.
Exactly.
Avoid it.
Yeah.
Avoid it.
So you really have to put your mind to it and commit to it, you know, and have that willpower. But at the same time, you also have to be kind to yourself and be forgiving.
Absolutely.
Because when
That's part of
you
mindset.
do make that mistake and you do find yourself going down there, do you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. Try
A new
again.
day. Absolutely.
You know, and oftentimes we get frustrated, and that's why I think diets don't work, because
don't.
when we don't stick to diets, then it really sends us into that whole state of depression. I just can't get it right.
It's
I
got
can't
to
do
be a
it.
mindset
Yeah.
change,
Mhm.
a
Exactly.
lifestyle change.
Exactly.
You have to change how you feel about it. Otherwise, it will not work. It's just temporary. 'Cause you see a lot of people do those things and then they gain all that weight back. If
Yeah.
they, you know, if they don't follow the program, if they don't really adjust to that program, they don't adapt their life to that program, it's worthless because
Right.
essentially they're going to go back to those same habits. They haven't created new habits.
Exactly. And that's it. You hit it right on the head. Healthy habits. And that's how you build the muscle for the discipline. Right?
For the rest
And
of your life, too.
For
Yeah.
in anything. In anything. You can have all the tools. You can have everything. You can have a master's degree in it. But if you don't use it, it does you no
It's no
good.
good.
Right? So that's the discipline part. That's the part of anything in life. Goals,
Right.
money, your body, everything. It's
well,
all
you can
about
see that
discipline.
people lack discipline in one area. They lack it in a lot of different
Yes,
areas
ma'am.
of their life. So
Yeah.
if people could learn how to control what they consume, they may not be as consumed by things. So
Right. And that's why I say intermittent fasting and mindset. Because it is a mindset. It is a decision to change. Like I
Right.
said, discipline is freedom.
Right. And sharing that with your family and your friends as well, because I know for us, going places with friends at a certain point, even if we would get up and, you know, do breakfast or something like that, meet people or whatever, we would get up and of course we would, you know, just go to fellowship, but we wouldn't eat until 12. So there were certain things that we wouldn't do until a certain time because we didn't want to put anyone else in a place
Exactly.
of just kind of feeling uncomfortable. I hate to eat in front of you. No, go ahead. I'm okay. Because if
I
it was
bet
me,
you they pull that bacon out though.
That might be a problem.
just
might be a situation
might-
happening.
You know what I'm
just sit this to the side till 12.
Tell
you know?
12. Right,
Warm
right.
it up, put it in the air fryer.
Yeah, but
Right.
even, you know, hanging out, you know, going to functions and just fellowshipping with folks after 8 o'clock, you know, if there's food involved or whatever, no, we're okay. We're not
Yep.
going to eat or whatever. And sometimes folks, go ahead and eat. This
Yep.
little bit won't hurt you.
They
And
will always do
until you
that.
say, that could kill me. You know, so-
Listen, right. And so, Dr. Mason, you bring up a great
Yeah.
point. It's about relationships also. If you're doing a lifestyle change and relationships that you're in don't support it, that can sabotage you also.
yes.
Because the minute you do something different, you're not eating. What's wrong with you? You don't like my food. What's wrong with you?
Right.
You know what? When
If you're not
Like, right.
secure in yourself,
or
for sure.
or a
Yeah.
husband or a wife that sees you dropping all this weight, Where you going? What
Say
you
so.
doing? Like, what's going on here?
Feeding you in your sleep.
Yeah. Putting bacon up to you in your sleep. Right.
You better eat.
Right.
Take care of me.
So that matters too. Relationships matter. Knowing yourself matters. Being able to be comfortable. Like when we do stuff, I'll tell you in a minute. No, I'm good.
And I don't answer twice.
Right. Because she knows, like,
Right.
this is
We're
what I
not big on
do.
peer pressure anyway.
But right. But I'm saying that can sabotage
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
But, and that's made a big difference. I will say this because at different times in our lives, my wife and I, we've had different weight loss journeys for different reasons. But this time we've
Y'all
actually,
are doing it
We're doing
together.
it together.
That's amazing.
And I will say the biggest success with this, of course, is sticking to it because I do have a little more willpower.
You're looking good too. Can I say
thank you.
that?
Yes, you can. You
Okay.
can say it again. Let
You're
him say it
looking
again.
good too.
All right.
Can I
all
say
right.
that?
Yes. All right. But the thing is, we're doing this together, and with her, she is outstanding when it comes to the meal prep and everything, or whatever. And I say, without a doubt, it wouldn't be successful if she wasn't doing the meal prep. That's huge.
She's looking out for you.
Yes, exactly. And I think as a couple, that's the big piece. We're communicating together, we're doing this together, type of
You're
thing, or
winning
whatever.
together.
Yeah.
You're losing together too at the same time.
And she's planning. She's planning for your success. She's planning for the obstacles that might happen during the day.
Right.
She's thinking ahead. She's really focused on making sure you're healthy, making sure you have something to eat when it's time, and it's something good to put in your body. So she's amazing for that. That's my soror right there.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Straight fortitude.
Y'all like that?
Yeah, indeed, straight fortitude, and it's necessary. Everybody needs a good support system. So every week we meet, we're always talking about how people need good support systems, and it is really important who you surround yourself with. It's a direct trajectory sometimes as to what's going to happen in your life, the people who you are surrounding yourself
Amen.
with. And so if people are being negative about life changes that you need to make in your life, maybe you got to
And
make
they
some
will.
changes about those people.
That's right.
Because, you can't take everybody with you.
But guess what? They'll be back when they see all that weight dropped off, and
They
they
can
know
try
goodness
to.
well. They'll be like, "So what are you doing again?
Right.
Haven't you had that? I've had that happen. You
Yes.
said what? You tried to tell me, but now what? What? Tell me about this."
Yes, and we see, this all started. Our program started because another one of my fraternity brothers, he was doing this program, and I was just so busy. My wife had mentioned it a while before, and just busy because it happens in cycles, and so if you miss this cycle, you got to wait till it runs in 8-week cycles, and so if you miss this cycle, you have to get on to the next cycle or whatever, and so just being busy, so finally we were on the same page, and we said, okay, let's go ahead and do this. But the energy that now so many people are seeing this weight loss journey and the healthier living that a number of us are having, the people that have decided now, I need to get on board. Yeah, and surprisingly,
You tried everything else?
right? And
Everything else.
Some folks, you look at them, I'm thinking, you don't need to lose any weight, but you're finding out that they're diabetic. They have other health conditions that
they wanna
they
take care
need
of.
to deal with, and it's all centered around their food intake and what they're putting in their body. And this is a good place to be.
It really is.
And what you're talking about as well sounds very similar, in terms of mind over matter and really focusing on that positive energy and, like I said, being more mindful of what you're eating and how your body's actually burning, what you're putting into it.
It's
Yeah,
a
and
mindset
so-
thing for sure. And I'm a firm believer that if we can get our minds right, then our lives will follow. But we got to start with getting our minds right. And anytime you can control your urge to do something and controlling your mind, that's already winning right there.
True. And just really quickly, I want to speak to what you said, Dr. Mason, with intermittent fasting. Just so you all out here understand, any fasting at 16 hours is really for weight loss more than anything. But when you hit past that 16-hour mark, it's for healing. it's a different situation. So keep
So
that
go
in mind.
past 16 and a half hours should be your goal.
You have 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes of cell rejuvenation,
There it
which
is.
is what they call which is called autophagy.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
If you sleep through those 16 hours,
It
can you
doesn't
still
matter.
get the same benefits?
It doesn't matter. You're not eating.
Okay.
And
And look,
mean,
she's
take a
so
dog.
silly. I just want to sleep through it.
Because some of us need some rest,
I told you don't ask for rest.
I'm sorry. I don't want the
might call you
permanent
home.
sleep. I just want
I told you, Lord might call you home. You ask for rest. and
Listen.
He'll give you what you ask for. So be
Listen.
He
careful.
most certainly
Listen.
will.
Right.
He most certainly
Listen,
will.
Father, if it is time, I thank you for taking good care of me. People who keep their life right, you always got to stay ready for that because there's no time. People are checking out. That's why it's a good conversation to have because there's no age anymore for why people are checking out for health issues and all type of things. So
It's
if
wild
this
out
is
here.
something that can benefit our people and save lives and generations, so people have more time to get it right.
Right.
With it.
Yeah.
And we talked about diabetes and all whatever, but I know that heart disease is really prevalent among Black women as well.
And men too.
And not that men aren't dealing with, but I know that's something that a friend of mine, she's dealt with, and she always talks about that, and she really pushes the whole heart health, especially as it relates to women. And at one point, several years ago, I didn't realize that was probably at that time the number one killer.
Oh, it still is.
It still is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it still is.
The number one killer
It
of
still
women.
is.
Yeah.
But when you link it, it's all linked to obesity. But yes, heart disease is still the number one.
I always tell her that's the only time I wear red. So
It's my favorite color.
Mine too.
I
y'all.
know. Earned that right to wear that color.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. I tell you, Dr. Braxton, this has just been an amazing conversation about, we started off thinking about what did our parents need to know to get ready going
Yeah,
into
I
school, what did
know,
our families need
right.
to know about getting into school, but I think this is good for any type of time of year, any type of knowledge. You need to know how to take better care of yourself. And this is something that you actually can control. And the fact that if people, inflation, I'm thinking inflation is going up, people are complaining about, food prices and everything, you can just look, we're fasting.
And if you need a support system, right. And it saves money.
What?
You guys, you don't
That's what I'm trying
understand.
to
You know how
say.
much money these people are waking up
When the
every
families
day
are
to go to
screaming, we're
Starbucks?
fasting.
right.
Immediately going to Starbucks,
Yes.
giving them $6, $7, $8 every day.
I've been guilty.
But you just see what I'm saying? But if you need a support system, I'm here. Like I said, I have a program. So, if you guys want to reach out to me for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it
Sometimes
puts you
need
on a
that.
routine. And that's the other thing, too, developing routines. And as we
Absolutely.
go back to school and we have our
that.
kids in programs and things of that nature, developing those routines, that's going to make a big difference also.
Consider this as part of the routine.
Absolutely.
Yes. When you eat as well as getting sleep, proper sleep in your system.
And you'll see, how do you feel
I'm
like
gonna go to sleep,
I sleep
when I'm
better.
hungry now. You understand? Because I'm like, look, I got to get ready to go fast. So, time to go to bed.
I'm telling you, I
Clock is
feel
16
my
minutes.
sleep is just really nice. I mean, do you feel like you sleep better?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
since
do.
fasting? Oh, man. I sleep
Oh,
like
yeah.
a baby.
Sleep.
I'm gonna try that out.
Good sleep.
Great sleep.
Yes.
Because typically I can't sleep when I'm hungry. So now I'm gonna have to flip my mind around and be like, okay,
Chew you
Go-
a couple of ice cubes and drink you some
I'm
water.
gonna chew some gum.
After you master it, you're not hungry like that anymore.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Your body just
Your
adjusts.
body, yeah. Your body adjusts to it. Yeah. And
So for those who are
ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, does not express as much when you're fasting.
Okay. So for
That's your
those
hunger
who are
hormone.
just starting out or they're hearing us talking about it, like maybe I don't want to do that whole 16 just yet. What is a nice way to be introduced into it? You gave us a couple other options, but how many hours would you say to kind of get somebody working into this mindset?
16 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
She pretty much stuck with that.
I did.
She didn't move.
She was like, no, either you're going to do it or you're not. Either you're with it or you're not. It's for you. Get
It's
with it.
It's for the benefit
It's
of you.
for the benefit of you. 16 and 8. But when
Don't
you want
put
to heal,
anything
you
in-
need to go over 16.
Over 16, that's when your body begins to go into what's called autophagy, ketosis, and all of those things where your body is just healing itself.
Now, what about some of these things? I remember seeing ads for drinks and stuff like that.
Ketones.
That can put your body in, help to put your body in ketosis and all or whatever. What are your thoughts on that? That's like a cheat code.
It is a cheat code. It's exogenous ketones versus endogenous.
Okay.
Which is what we create. And so my thoughts on that are this. If you're looking for a quick fix, okay, you can use that. That's not the route I would go because to me it's not sustainable.
Okay.
I prefer for my participants to do the work. Just do the work. There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. When you got your degree, there's no shortcuts. You just got to do the work, guys. Yes. So if you need something to give you, a crutch, which I look at it as that. If you need a little bit of that, to start, but get rid of it because you really, really want to do the work. Because when you do the work, it's worth it. And you'll stick with it more. So, yes, they work.
It becomes a part of you.
So, yes, it does work, Dr. Mason.
Okay.
It does work, but
so maybe as a jump start, but not as a solution.
Not as a solution. No.
I can understand that. I can understand.
But sometimes people need that though.
And that's what I was about to say.
They need a win. They need a win, and that's why I do the things I do as far as eliminating those things out of your diet. But you're right. They do need a win. But let's just do the work.
Tell the people how to find you.
You can find me on www.doctor, Jemicia, Jemicia.com. You can find me on Instagram, Dr. Jemicia. You can find me on YouTube, The Nurse Practitioner Extraordinaire, or just hashtag Dr. Jemicia. Everything about me will come up.
All right. Well, I tell you, other than her talking about my bacon, I'm okay today.
We've learned quite a bit. We have some great solutions to a community problem, obesity. A great solution to a community problem. And just eat less.
Amen.
Just eat less, and during a certain time frame, and that could save your life.
It really can.
That whole intermittent fasting, I'm a witness. It certainly does work.
You look great. Did I say?
Okay. Say it again.
You look great.
All right. And we thank you. Well, we're going to wrap this thing right on up. So I am Dr. Richard Mason.
I'm Dr. Tamara Williams.
And thank you for joining us right here on WHOB 88.1 FM at the table.
The essence of HU.
Keep you forward.
Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.
Thank you for joining us at the table.
Tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. for more delicious topical recipes for life on the Sunday Brunch.
On Smooth 88.1 WHOV.